Hello and welcome and good evening and welcome and hello and good evening and welcome, greetings, salutations, buenas noches a todos. It is your host, Danny Deals, Hurricane Lopez, Cornbread, Little Danny Cornbread DeCarlo, as they used to call me on the south side of Chicago. Guys, I'm going to make a really quick video. I know I say that a lot, but it's actually been true of late. I just want to give you some information. Everyone wants to say, this little rally with SMCI is over. I completely disagree just based on the facts. Just give you a couple of examples. Number one is volume. You had this crazy volume, 200 million, drop to 96, drop to 71. Everybody thought things were over. 108, and then today you would have expected this really heavy churn back up a couple 100 million shares wherever it was. You didn't see that. You saw the algo really locking on, but the reason this could have been sort of a sell the news event, it actually turned out to be, a green candle, quote unquote, but it really sold the news because, the stock pumped almost to $50 overnight and then, kind of basically sold off all day and closed very near the low of the day. I think the low closed like 7 cents off the low of the day or something. But look at the reality of the chart, not sort of what they want you to believe, but the facts. Like, nobody is selling this stock lower today than they were on Friday, just period. I mean, the stock has made higher lows 1, 2, 3, slightly 4, 5, 6 days in a row, with higher lows during trading. I mean, I'm not talking like after. I don't know why these charts constantly want to jump around. But the thing's really on trend. It's sort of been hung up around this 44 area. People expected a pump, but a reason I think that kind of sold the news intraday is that was really baked into this rally. I mean, the assumption was, once they found that new auditor, they got the pop that NASDAQ was going to at least give them a chance to take a look at the books and, certify the financials and turn in the, quarterly and the yearly and all that stuff. So if they were going to just delist them, they probably would have done it. And BDO USA, they're sort of checkered past a little bit of reputation issues, but all in all, they're a reputable company. They have the size, they have the auditing capability, so they basically, like I said every time, they just have to tell the truth. That's the key. If there's false stuff in there, come out with it, restate it, get it over with, and move on, because it just, even if you take the allegations as true, the Hindenburg allegations, this whistleblower allegation, the fact that they were, double dealing with their family, recognizing revenues prematurely, you have to kind of look at what they don't say. They don't say the company is like some kind of, scheme. They don't say they're making up revenues. They don't say there's fictitious customers. They don't say there's, fictitious accounting practices. It's basically, inappropriate recognition of revenues. It's inappropriate relationships between companies, between relatives, and there's a lot of problems they detailed, but none of them are like sort of black swan, endemic problems with the core of the business. The core of the business is very healthy because they have a best-in-class product at the best price, gives you the most density of NVIDIA or other chips in a data center, and it's the most cost-effective, best solution, according to the research I've done and the people I've talked to, but I'm not an expert in the space. But, the bottom line is they're projecting like 25, 26 billion in sales next year, and they're trading at like 1x multiple, and they're already making money. I mean, again, assuming these books aren't just a complete crock of shit, which they very well could be. But what happened today? Very simple. Again, same thing that happened Friday. Why wasn't there a huge churn? They stepped on this thing. I think a lot of people were just inclined to take profits in the unknown. Friday borrowed 5 million. Today borrowed just a little over 3 million. Cost to borrow remains very, very low. But again, I just don't know how sustainable that is. with 156 million shares on loan. There's a lot of insider ownership of the stock. It's a pretty significant short, and I know they're, at some kind of conference the next 2 days, so it's possible that, good PR could drop. But just to follow up on that, if you look at the short volume ratio today, 62%, which there's only been one other day up that high in the last like 4 weeks. So very, very, heavy shorting. And if you're heavily shorting into, not that much volume, for this type of news, I think that's why they're able to step on the stock, and also just creating a little bit of fear with sort of these dramatic drops, and some stopping people out and stuff like that. I don't know, putting a stop loss on a stock with this type of volatility, at least a tight trailing stop loss, I think, okay, it's fine, but, the stock is popping up and down so much, you could get stopped out 10 times. It just doesn't really make any sense to me. Maybe put a stop way down so you just don't get hammered for like 50% or something like that. Anyway, guys, I don't know if anybody's watching this broadcast, but I'm looking at the chart. I'm looking at the fundamentals. I'm looking at the allegations. I'm looking at what the likely sanctions are going to be, and none of it really seems like it threatens the core of the business. As an investor, do you care if an executive is sanctioned by the SEC, or, the former CFO gets a criminal charge? Yeah, it's going to be a temporary hit, but I just look at it as an opportunity to buy more. If you have a business that's going to be growing very rapidly and spitting off free cash, that cures all. Like, nobody cares about the past, what happened a few years ago with some accounting irregularities. If you're making a ton of money and your share price is up and your profits are up and your EPS is up. So, that's basically what they have to do, is what they've already, the special committee recommended, is get their house in order, hire more lawyers, stop the inappropriate relationship with the former CFO, stop the double dealing, just basically do everything by the book. And if they take that approach, just run a squeaky clean operation where they're going to make money, obviously all the executives, it's in their own best interest to do that. And I think, that reality is biting them in the ass, and they're, catching up to them. Oh, end of year target is $66.60, John M. $66.60. I think it's going to get there. I don't think the momentum has slowed down one bit. I don't think retail is dumping on these dips. That's the thing. They're covering a little bit, perhaps, and others are borrowing and shorting on the tops there. But I don't think that many retail investors who hold long shares are taking profits here in the 40s. I mean, most of us are looking for like 100 plus. And if you start to look at, sales multiples of peer groups, and a lot of the bears are saying, hey, it's just a sort of a fugazi. You're saying AI. It's not an AI play. It's like a hardware company. They do have some unique proprietary stuff. They are preferred by Tesla, NVIDIA, some of the biggest names out there. So just you're not going to think like Elon Musk is going to have these guys working on a data center, or Facebook, or any of these other giant companies if the product's not legit, if the company's some kind of scam. Again, just the fact that there are some accounting irregularities and people do things that are wrong, it doesn't mean the death of the company, and it doesn't mean the money isn't green, and it doesn't mean profits won't continue to flow in. So that's the way I look at this thing. Is just fundamentally, is the SEC, the Justice Department, are they going to put this company out of business? I don't see anything there that's that bad, even if you assume everything's true. I mean, I don't even think you're going to see any criminal charges. I think at most you're probably going to see like some civil cases and some fines, but it's going to be a slap on the wrist. I mean, compared to what some of these other, cheese balls are doing, some of these other jabronis, these shoe shine boys, little truck stop all-stars, some of these guys are up to no good. Yeah, I'm in both. I'm in both options and shares. I've got some short-term calls, about a couple hundred contracts. I rolled some of them out for like 3 weeks. I had some at the end of the week. I got a little worried. I still do have more actually on the dip, and then I'm also trying to accumulate. I had a few shares. I tried to accumulate a little bit more, but it got away from me. Just got very expensive. That's why I got into buying some of the calls. So I was just trying to play the momentum. But if we see a significant dip, I'll definitely buy some more long shares. I think it's just the valuation is just too low, assuming they're not going to get delisted or get put out of business, or all the executives thrown in jail or something like that. It's just going to be sort of this normal deal where it's a slap on the wrist. You start playing by the rules from this point forward, and we're going to basically let you off with a warning. If you look at it from that perspective, then the company would just be grossly, grossly undervalued. Now, is it fraught with risk? Absolutely. Kramer is like, hey, once I hear accounting irregularities, that's it. I'm done, and I'm never going back. To me, that's just, feasting on FUD. It's just the wrong attitude. It's like, okay, a company that's made a mistake, or executives that have done something wrong or unethical or illegal, it doesn't mean the core business isn't going to make a lot of money. So as an investor, if they have an executive CFO or whatever been doing things improperly and they let him go, sever the relationship, put controls in place, and they're making money, I don't see any reason to not invest in the company. It's like based on their, past indiscretions. Everybody has a past. You got a past. You got a past, Senator. Um, yeah, of course, John. No worries. Yeah, you're the only person here, so commenting, so I'm definitely going to answer you. Anyway, guys, I want to keep this one to 10 minutes. It's already been 11 minutes, so I'm just going to get the hell out of here and, let you guys get some sleep or play pocket pool or video games or whatever you got going on. Overnight, yeah, the stock back up on Robinhood, but, yesterday it went way, way up overnight. What was it? It touched almost 50. It was 49s here, spiked back up, and then kind of just sold off all day on the algo, and then, a little bit of buying toward the end of the day, and then some buying coming in after hours. Anyway, guys, that's Super Micro Computer, SMCI. The maximum pain on the stock this week was 38.50, so, obviously market makers want to push down, but market makers probably own a lot of those long calls and long shares and such anyway, so I don't know. This chart just doesn't look like it's breaking down. There's too much volume. There's too much buying. And every single day, higher lows. So people are not willing to sell the stock at a lower price. They're only willing to sell the stock at a higher price day after day. And the fact that there was this big news, this was a bit baked in. But I think more good PRs are going to drop. Constant buying pressure. I think some of these shorts are going to have to cover in the absence of really bad news, because right now it looks like they're riding the ship, and this sort of whistleblower, these like law firm stuff they're rehashing over and over. It's all the same news. It's like double dealing with their family, improper recognition of revenues, blah, blah. It's the same stuff we already know about. What have you done for me lately? Tell me something good. I mean, this is kind of what Hindenburg does a lot. I mean, some of their short stuff, like Lucid and that, was legit. Not Lucid, Nikola, pardon me. Rolling the truck down the hill and all that stuff. But with this one, I think it's like, okay, these accounting irregularities, improprieties, but it doesn't go to anything like Nikola, where it says the core of the business is a fraud, that these, server racks and stuff don't work, don't do the job, don't function, that they're not real sales. I mean, it's basically just some executives, without the proper controls, without the proper constraints, kind of acting a little bit fast and loose, but they're not making up numbers, they're not making up sales. It's not a fake company, it's a very real company. And I think everything's going to be fine. Having said that, guys, I'm going to get the hell out of here. It's Un Poco Mas, it's Little Danny Cornbread DeCarlo, it's Hurricane Lopez, blah, blah, blah. Thanks for joining me. Really appreciate it. You guys have yourselves a wonderful night. Peace. I'm out of here. It's Un Poco Mas.